We live? I still hear the music. Good afternoon and happy Friday. Welcome to Tia Talks. I want to start off by thanking our sponsors, WUSA, Brenda Ons, for providing this space and this opportunity for us to grow as entrepreneurs and learn, the different facets of doing business. And podcasting is definitely one of them. So they provide this facility here at the rate of $50 per session. And you get your word out, your business out, your guests, your mission, whatever it is that you want to focus on, out to the community. And the community is over 10,000 folks today. I also want to let y'all know that WUSA does have a workshop coming up on October 13th from 11:30 to 12:30, and that focus is going to be on helping you explore and learn a little bit more about Facebook and the social media aspect of doing business. You can find it on Eventbrite, and again, that's October 13th from 11:30 to 12:30. I want to thank Evolve Medical Group. You can reach them at 210-999-5039 for just, having the facility here for us and sponsoring us as well. I can't forget Digital Vida, which is responsible for what you're actually viewing today. They are producing our show. Thank you, Digital Vida. And I most definitely want to thank and welcome our guest today, Ms. Juanita Thomas. Thank you for joining us, Juanita. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, let's get started. And the way I like to start the show is to basically, I introduce you. You're with J&O Creations, so you have a business that you run aside from being a full-time nurse at the VA hospital.
Correct.
Which is a beautiful mission. Thank you so much for doing that for our veterans that that are out there supporting us, right? And what a beautiful mission. I worked for USA for several years, so I felt a lot of purpose doing that. So I commend you for that. Thank you so much. So Juanita, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Juanita? Is she a San Antonian or no?
Actually, my name is Juanita Thomas. I'm originally from Laredo, Texas, born and raised in Laredo, Texas. I was born and raised on a ranch.
Nice.
I'm the only girl of three brothers, and so it was very challenging. Back in the 60s when we were being raised. My father was a truck driver, plus having the ranch. We actually raised it was a pig farm that we
wow.
had. Yeah, so we had pigs. We raised pigs for market, and we had cows and horses and sheep and goats and chickens, and so we had the whole aspect of the farm life. We raised crops, we raised hay, and made bales for our cattle. So it was a very interesting life. I learned how to drive a tractor before I actually learned how to drive a car. So yeah, it was
nice.
fun.
I remember a portion of my life when I did live with my mom and my stepdad. It was also on the country. I remember learning how to drive stick shift on the dirt road.
Yes, exactly. I learned how to drive stick shift too when I first, when I first got a vehicle in the stick shift. So.
Yeah. They were a lot less expensive, and you could turn it on just by pushing
pushing it downhill or yeah.
It was like a fun thing, you know.
Yeah. But it was very it was a very challenging life, back then. And my father was, like I said, a truck driver, so he was away most of the time, and my mother and my older brother and I would be, manning the
farm,
cattle, the livestock, right?
A lot of work.
So we had to milk cows, we had to milk goats, feed the pigs. So it was. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, both my parents ingrained in us. It's like, okay, you got to learn how to get an education, get a life, and be able to support yourself as a woman. Okay. You don't need a man. You don't need to depend on a man to support you. Because my father one day I remember my father sat my older brother and I, and he told us, look, we don't have the money to send you off to school. So, to college, you're going to have to work for it.
Right.
So I remember he told my brother, he says, he was an ex-military, so he told my brother.
Your dad or your brother?
My dad.
Oh, okay.
He was in the Army.
So he was
World War II, right?
Yeah.
And so he told my brother, you can join the military. When you get out, you can go to school on your GI Bill. And he did. Before he finished high school, he joined the Marine Corps. And he turned around and told me, he says, you're going to have to go to college. I don't care what you want to do, but you're going to have to work on getting scholarships, and we'll figure out the rest. Because I don't want to have you to depend on anybody. One of these days, I'm not going to be here, and you decide to marry some, of course, not in those quite nice words, somebody that's not going to want to support you, and at least I know you can support yourself.
And you don't have to put up with anything.
Yes.
You can move on.
So they were our rocks. My mom made sure that for me, being the only girl, that I learned. She made me what I am. Not in so many ways as telling me this is what you need to do, but she made sure I knew how to cook, I knew how to iron, I knew how to do laundry, take care of the livestock, and anything else. So when there was obstacles, that I knew how to get through. So she was kind of like my goal setter, and she made sure that you instilling all the time that you don't need somebody to support you. You work on your education, you get a better job, and you can do it your own.
Right. Was your mother also?
No, my mother was.
Workforce,
no, my mother was a stay-home mom when we were kids. She was a stay-home mom. She worked as working the farm.
Right. She took care of things at home.
She took care of things at home, and farm life was one of them. She was a go-getter. She did not face. Not that we didn't have any obstacles, but she made sure that we got there.
Mothers are definitely the forefront of families, no matter what. I mean, one of the things that pops to mind is I recently insured someone who was, the mother of the family, and also the homemaker, the homekeeper, the bus driver, the cab driver, everything. So honestly, mothers can get more insurance than someone that's just employed.
Wow.
Because they are the cook, they are the cleaner, they are the the bus driver, whatever. They have all these different roles that they play, and yet a lot of times people look at them differently because they're at home.
Yes, and living out at the ranch, we barely had electricity. We had to haul water. We had dirt floors. We had in that house. We had a
well.
We had a well, but it was salt water, so it wasn't
It
drinkable.
wasn't good.
It wasn't drinkable, and you wash your hair, and it felt like you were. It was
Girl,
tough.
sounds like we lived together because I went through all that too.
Yes, and so we had a wooden stove.
Yeah, you went to school smelling
yes,
like. Oh.
Yes, because but she always made sure that we were dressed nice.
Yes.
You know, not with the fanciest clothes, but we were dressed. We were ironed. We were so. And I'd come home in the afternoon, and she would say, "Okay, you got to sweep." But we have dirt floors. Why sweep? You know?
Uh-huh.
No. So we'd sweep, and then she'd make me sprinkle the floor with water
To calm down
down the dust and pack it in.
Wow.
In the wintertime, we had coals that we had brasas in the pan, and that was it. We did have a house in the city, but we didn't move there until I guess I was in middle school, high school. So, but it was rewarding.
But it's beautiful because you learned all the basics, in your first part of life, and then when you moved on, you already had all that experience. I mean, without thinking about it that way.
Thinking about it, and that's what I said. She made sure that we knew what to do without having to tell us. It was by showing us, we were living it.
Right.
So it was very rewarding. I graduated from high school at 17. I got 2 scholarships, and I went on to. First year I took a course in how to work at a doctor's office. So by 18, I was working in the doctor's office. Age 19, I was working in the operating room, and I was in nursing school.
So you knew what your purpose was, huh?
So I was in nursing school. So now, this past August, I had my 45th year anniversary.
Wow!
Congratulations!
Wow.
In the medical career.
That's beautiful.
So I became a nurse, and I worked 36 years in the operating room. And now I still work, not in the operating room, but with surgical things there at the VA. So it has been a very rewarding life. I had a midlife crisis at age 15, decided I was going to go back to school for my bachelor's, which I ended up with my master's in nursing.
Woo! It wasn't that hard, huh?
So it was
getting up the courage to do it, right?
And I think what kicked me into gear is I had a supervisor one time. She was more of an administrator, and I remember to this day I turned in my 2 weeks notice because I was starting to go to school and I wanted something with an easier schedule. Because I was working full time. I was going to school full time, so it was rough. Yeah, it was rough, and she was being Hispanic. It's different cultures, but I remember her telling me, I don't know what you're doing because you're never going to amount to anything. And that put me in gear. It was like a kick in the butt, and it's like, you know what, go. And I thought to myself, I'll show you.
Challenge on. That's what I was in the last podcast. Something similar happened to her, and she's like, challenge on.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So I was able to finish my master's and go visit the place where I used to work, and she was getting ready to move back to east, one of the Carolinas. I could never remember if she was south or north, but she. I loved it when I told her in her face that I had actually gotten my master's, and she was speechless. Just to say,
but isn't it sad though that now I know that folks like that, it's because they have something in them that they're not happy with. Right. So they hurt people, right? So she wanted to hurt you, and little did she know she gave you the fuel you needed, right? And it's wonderful that you flipped it because you could have gone the other way.
She gave me an inspiration, a negative inspiration, I guess you could say. Yeah. Because it was like that was a kick that I needed. My parents, the values that my parents showed us was always, keep the faith, keep your God or whatever higher power you have, and help others without expecting anything back, something in return, and keep it moving. You're not a quitter, right? So that was one thing, and then this one telling me you're never going to get there. Exactly. It all just.
Another one that comes to mind for me is like if you don't have your work, you have nothing.
Right. Exactly. Because especially now with everything so expensive, you have to work. Yeah. And there's sometimes you wonder, how did your family do? How did your parents do? when it was.
Yeah, but keeping your word as far as like you say you're going to do something, doing it because it means something to you.
Right.
Let's move it closer to the yeah, keeping your word is so important and something that, it's been lost a lot, in the times, respect, keeping your word.
It's true.
Respecting your elders primarily.
That's kind of gone by the wayside.
Yeah, one thing that I remember, and I'm so grateful that my grandmother, who's the one who raised me for most of my life, instilled in me was to go to church. It was so important to her for me to know that I was not ever alone. To inculcar that I don't know how you say it in English. Instill that value in me, that knew that I had faith, that there was a higher power leading me, and that I was worth anything and everything that this world had to provide for me. Because we are working, we are living.
And you, I think at the same time, you are ready for whatever life throws at you.
Right, and it pulls you through. And today, it's not like that. It's so sad, and it's one of the reasons that I've told myself, you know what? I've always kept my faith silent, and for me, and now not anymore, because people need to know that they're not alone. That there is faith. That no matter what kind of faith that you find, that you have hope in life, and that we're not here as your enemy. Your neighbor is not your enemy.
Right.
The person that's working the same field that you are is not your enemy. We're all striving to try to just make it through. And in my case, I just want to testify.
Exactly.
Testify, and aside from testify, let folks know what's out there that can help them. In my case, the financial services industry. To just push them through, because one of the things that folks need to understand is that one income or even two incomes in a household is no longer a safety net. You have to have multiple streams of income where you're, not necessarily killing yourself, but money is coming in, and when something does happen, you lose your job, you get furloughed or whatever, you aren't down in the dumps because it's all over, because you plan, to protect yourself.
It's funny because when my mom died, we moved stuff out of the house. When my dad got sick, and he couldn't truck drive anymore, he went to work for the school district as a mechanic. So he died at the age of 53, so I was like 21. He had a massive MI Christmas morning, so that kind of put, But we moved, when my mom died, I moved everything out of the house back home in Laredo. And one day I was sitting, going through, she had a little case where she kept important papers in it. It was a little trunk. And I was going through it, and I saw, back in the day when you used to have a check stub, and it was from the school district, and it was just a little strip of paper. It was one of my father's check stubs from like 73 cents. They would get paid once a month. His take-home salary for a month was $397. I was like,
they survived.
How did we ever survive? It was very
milking the cows, getting the extra
selling
chickens,
selling pigs. My mother used to barter. We had a neighbor that had he raised chickens, and he sold the eggs to the local mom and pop stores. And so my mom would barter, which at the time we didn't know what it was. My brother and I, and she'd send us to go help Mr. Dovalina pick the eggs out of the chicken coop. To this day, I hate chicken coops.
Me, the eggs.
Yeah.
Because back then it wasn't just like
but it wasn't so
powder.
It wasn't so funny. It wasn't so much that we had to pick the eggs, but we didn't know it. I must have been about 8 or 9. But we'd come home with a bunch of eggs. That was eggs, and back then it was child labor, and nobody,
and you weren't getting paid.
Yeah, we were getting paid with eggs. We didn't know it. We didn't know it. And she would go help him pick the eggs. But then he would say, that's the way she bartered for eggs.
I'll help him pick them, but you send them to me.
Yeah, and so But people say, child labor. It's like, oh, no, I'll show you child labor. I'll show you child labor. We had to barter, and he had the meanest dogs. Not only did we have to run away from the darn dogs, but um, but here we had to make sure that we didn't drop the eggs,
Right.
going home. So
that was my next question. I was going to ask you, like, Juanita, like, for example, like during, I mean, you went to school several years, and it's been a journey for you. Have there been any obstacles that you faced that you found?
Yeah. Like I said, it was very challenging, especially when I did my master's program, because I worked full time. I'd come home and it was online, so I'd be home on the computer from 4 till about 10 o'clock at night. And it was like, come home, okay, tell my husband, what do you want for dinner? Have a sandwich, bowl of cereal, whatever you want. And I'd go into the computer and into the computer room and be there till 8, till 10 o'clock at night. And I always had the early shift at work. So there was times that I was
today.
Yeah. There was times that I was working in the operating room at that time. So there was times that I had to be by work by 4:30 in the morning. Because we started cases at 5:30. Yeah. So it was rough. I remember it was like,
how did you stay awake?
Very hard. And to this day, I've always been, I just sleep in intervals, really. But it was about a month before I got my master's, then I was ready to call it quits. I was ready to call it quits. And you go back to you're not a quitter. Yeah. Keep the faith. So that kind of through. And it was just 4 more weeks. All I kept thinking, 4 more weeks. And it was rough. I had a hard time, because life happens and you feel like you're neglecting stuff. And at that time
and then people talking.
Oh yeah.
Why are you doing it?
Exactly. Now I'm in my 50s by this time.
That's what I mean. Why you don't need to do it anymore? Exactly. You're already up there. Blah blah blah. Yeah. It's like, lead your little life. Let me lead my big life.
Yeah. I had always made a promise to my mom that I would go back for my bachelor's. And
so
I went to my bachelor's. I got my bachelor's, and then I thought, I think I've got the momentum. And then I only had like 18 more months for my master's, and it was rough. And at that point I was saying, what were you thinking? And but now I've been, I guess it's 10 years now, 11 years now since I got
now you do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah. So but it was very challenging. It was very challenging to a point where it was like, I don't care what values I just want to quit. I just want to stop it.
But so you've done this for, you said 45 years?
45 years. 45 years. But I had already been in nursing 30 years before I went to.
So what's the love? What's the passion? What keeps you going? What wakes you up in the morning knowing that you're going to go do that?
I think it's just going back to your roots, helping others.
And getting paid.
And getting paid. Right.
Because you're doing something. It's a service.
And there's times that it's like, there's a lot of challenges from when I started to now. It's too much money hungry. It's too much money. That's it. When I went to nursing school, it was protect the patient, protect yourself. You have the people you work with. And now, to me, it seems like everybody is like, I'm here to get paid. But especially working for the veterans, you're on a mission. And so some people tell me, oh man, I wish I had a job like yours, where you don't have to work weekends or holidays.
You gotta do your time.
No, exactly. You gotta do your time. You have to, work your way up the ladder. Yeah. And sometimes I tell them, no, you gotta do this, and we're here because we're here for the patient. I've always kept that mentality. We're here for the patient, and they look at me like, what planet do you come off?
I'm here because I was told I was going to pay this much.
Yeah, exactly. So
sad.
And it's sad. It's totally different than from when we first started. But again, it's helping others. That's always been
that fills your heart. That gives you purpose. That's beautiful. Yeah, because we were basically put on this earth to show of love.
And it was, you help your fellow man. And like you say, there's this poem that, I found in one of my nursing books. It said something, you're homeless, I'll help you. You've got AIDS, I'll help you. You have cancer, I'll help you. You're dying, I'll be there. You're born, I'll help you. That type of thing. And it's a long poem, but it says, and it ends with something, I'll help you because I'm yours. So it's real pretty, and excuse me, but that's what keeps me going.
That's beautiful. And so now you created numerous businesses for yourself, and you've got Jane on Creations. You've got,
and I kind of always had it. I've always had the passion for baking and cooking and creating, crafts and creating stuff, and I kind of sold it off, off the grid, because I was too busy doing nursing, and so then COVID hit, so everything stopped. We were at a standstill. So now once I joined Women Unlimited, I see, and I remember when I joined, I said, I'm just here to support. I don't have a business, but I've always done crafting and stuff, and so being with this group, it kind of inspired me to, it'll be your side hustle when you retire. So now
you already got it started.
Yeah, I got it started, and now it's like I'm really busy with the side hustle. It's like, okay, but I can't quit now.
No. And it's beautiful that you love it, because when you do something that you love,
exactly.
It's not as hard on you.
And you have to be in the mindset. There's times that I'm at work or in the morning, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and this with crafts. But then you have a bad day. It's a bad day at work, and I come home and it's like, you know what? I know I don't want to work with crafts because it's not going to look, not that they're all beautiful, but I'm not going to be happy doing it. I'm just going to be like all frustrated because I had a frustrated day at work. So I just sit down and, relax and chill, do something else.
So how do you find that center, that balance that gives you the refreshment to keep going?
There's times that, I'm an early bird, obviously, so I'll get to work, by 4:30, 4:45. I'm usually in my office by 5:15, but that time I'll sit there in the parking lot, and that's kind of my own time. I say your prayers, meditate, be on Facebook.
Good morning to everybody. Musa, this is Juanita Thomas. Every morning, good morning, good morning.
And
some
so
beautiful images.
Yeah, and you kind of relax and tune in, and it's like, okay, now it's time to go in, change your cap. At the end of the day, I get in my car and I'll sit there in the parking lot and kind of leave, that.
Yeah, it's like it's like you turn it off because you turn this on.
Right.
And in a way, it kind of gives you that release that you need because you're not.
Because you're going to
even thinking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and then of course there's times that you have a bad day and it takes more than so you just go home and chill. Don't even think about crafts.
Have a margarita.
Yeah. And they tell me, because I have a work phone, and they tell me, well, you don't answer your phone after hours. No.
Oh my God.
No, my phone turns on. My work phone turns on when I get to the parking lot, and it turns off when I leave the parking lot. So you're SOL if you don't get it.
No, it's very demanding when you have a work phone. I used to have 2 work phones at one time, and my personal phone. Going 24/7. It's just like, and at the end of the day, you lose your job or you get fired, and they move on. It's not your.
And the next day the next day they're gonna have your posted job, or they already have somebody there, So you learn to say it's really not worth it. Your health, your well-being.
Wow. So, I appreciate you sharing today, and I know that you're also a mobile notary.
Public, yes. That's a very rewarding job too. I've gone to hospitals to take care of some patients that they call me and say, hey, we really need these notarized. I am now came in contact with this girl that does a lot of senior citizen work in nursing homes and things like that, or senior citizen event centers at some of these senior citizen centers. And she does a lot of volunteer work, and she'll tell me, hey, we have this, this vehicle that needs a notary public, and they really don't have any transportation. Can you come?
So that's a beautiful mission too, because you're there for those that can't do for themselves. yourself.
Yeah, or it's like, can we call you? And I said, but don't call me too late because I have to get up early.
Remember, I'm going at 4:30.
I get up at 3 every morning, so.
What time do you go to sleep?
Sometimes 10-ish. I only sleep probably about 4 hours.
Is it true though? I mean, being
You
a
get
nurse,
used to it.
is it though that as you get older you need less sleep?
I guess, I always used to say, how does my mom get up without an alarm, when trying to wake us up to go to school, and it's like, she's been up already, coffee, breakfast, and
real early.
I know, and well, back then we'd say it was real early, but it could have been 6. Yeah, it could have been 6 or whatever, and we had to catch a bus, and it's like, oh my God, I would never be able to do it. And there, I set
look at you now, girl.
I set 3 alarms. I have 3 alarms, and yes, there's times that I don't hear none of the 3, but there's times that most of the time I beat the first one. So it's
you're already got the
and
time
then
you
on
need.
days, if it's not me trying to wake up by myself, it's my bladder. So
one way or the other.
Yeah, but even on days that I'm off, it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna sleep late.
No. Oh well, but at least you get more advantage of the day.
Yeah.
You get to do more things.
Yeah.
Do your creations. Things like that.
It's been a very rewarding life. And
that's wonderful when you can say that.
And I plan to retire next December, or a year from this December, January. And I really want people to be like, oh no, what's she up to now?
Well, they can tune into Wusa and find out. Because Juanita right here is one of our board members, and I don't think she's going anywhere. She loves to support you. Well, Juanita, thank you so much
for having me.
You're welcome, and we're going to go ahead and take a little break and bring in our next guest.
Okay, thank you.
It's up to you if you want to stay or if you want to.
No, I'll stay for a little while.
Okay.
Like that, we could inspire stories.
You can do a little comment here and there. All right.
That's true.
Are we back? Are we back? So normally at each one of the podcasts, what I like to do is provide the folks that come on and watch the opportunity to sign up for a free financial overview. It's free. It's just information that you're going to get and you're going to take in to either decide what you want to do with your goals as far as your financial future is concerned. I believe on the screen there is a QR code. You can go into that QR code and we'll later contact you. And for folks who do take that step as a thank you for appreciation for giving us the opportunity to meet with you, we're doing a raffle for an entertainment book or possibly to be in the entertainment book. Depends on whether you own a business or you don't own a business. It's completely up to you. So go ahead and sign up if you're interested. If not, that's fine too. And let me go ahead and move forward here and say welcome to our next guest, Miss J. Euphoria, Jessica Rodriguez, right?
Yes.
And Jessica does some wonderful work that it's not too common to see, right? So I really appreciate you being here today, Jessica. You want to go ahead and get started and tell the audience
Sure.
where they can find you, who you are, and what you do.
Yes, so my name is Jessica Rodriguez. I'm the owner of J4M Inc. And in J4M Inc., we specialize in 2 techniques, Aquilus and camouflage.
Okay.
And what we use those techniques for are scars. Now I'm going to give you guys a little bit of examples on scars. So it could be from a tummy tuck. It could be from post-surgery. It can be from a weight loss journey when people have the skin removal. It can be from a fall you had 20 years ago. Any type of scars. And We do also stretch marks. Stretch marks and.
So you're like filling in the cracks or what?
So.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I mean, yeah. So camouflage, and with camouflage we use pigment. The closest we mix colors closest to your skin.
So it's like tattooing.
Yes.
That's
And
what I mean, filling in because the cracks are wider.
And then,
for those of you who have scars.
right, and then we have the inkless, which we use a medical grade serum by the company Conceal. I work alongside with them, and that's where all my products are from, and they're wonderful, and they show really, really good results. And that being said, the results, how do I say it? The client needs to do the aftercare so that the results are maximized. And it's not a like one day thing where a tattoo you go and you get a little. No, it's multiple sessions because you need to let. For example, for the inkless, you have to let the scar or whatever it is that I'm working on regenerate its skin cells again. So that takes a process, and that can take 4 to 6 weeks. It can vary because everybody is different. We all heal at different times. We all do heal different ways.
Is it kind of like when you do like the cosmetic tattooing that it heals and all that?
Well, it's similar in the process. Very similar. It's just it heals differently in different areas of your body. But yeah, you have to for the aftercare. You have to stay out of the sun.
Okay.
No vitamin D. It's much more. Yeah, much more in depth. So if you have any questions about the aftercare before you're considering this type of procedure, please give me a call or follow me on Instagram, j.med_Inc. And I will get back to you, or in Facebook.
And you can see her name and number going down there on the bottom of the screen, so you can reach out to her if you have more questions.
Awesome. It's not like you go in, like I was saying, about tattooing. I mean, no, you have to go back. I have to see progress pictures. I have to analyze. I have to.
So, like a tattoo, normally, I know, like on cosmetic tattoos, maybe a couple of years, and then you can see fading. How does this work?
So, for our camouflage technique, some people call it Brazilian camouflage. It's a little bit different. The way the technique that we use, it depends at what age you're getting it done. And why I say that, because as we all age, our skin texture changes, our tone changes, believe it or not. So we, but we don't want it to be so in depth. So like in a tattoo, the more you age, the color gets lighter, and the texture changes. It starts.
Not here.
So here with this, we do recommend. It really depends. I'm gonna be honest, but it's one of those variables. Every 3 to 4 years, or it could be more, or it could be. It really depends how your body is transitioning into the next stage or the next couple of years.
Yeah. And how you take care of that.
And how you take that's
to the sun and all that. Because when you get sunburn, you feel. There goes the color.
Yeah, and then they say, right, with the tattoo, when you have a regular tattoo and you use regular tattoo ink, you always have to put sunblock on it. Yeah. Some people just go to the beach and, and then forget it. And then that tattoo in the ink starts deteriorating and fading, so it changes.
So the older you get, is it the more trips that you have to take back?
No. It's just like, it's just one of those variable things. It could change or it cannot change.
Okay.
It just really, really happens. I mean, depends on what age. So if I'm covering a scar that you're 20, you're gonna be pretty good for longer time than somebody at an older age.
Because it's gonna be a while before your texture changes.
Exactly.
So does the scar have to be a certain age
in order to be treated?
Before you get it treated?
No,
we can treat it like right away.
Yeah. So the only thing is, for let's say you had surgery, you would have to wait 6 months to a year.
Okay. Yeah,
with surgery or getting any type of surgery, any scar, or like if you got in a car, if somebody was in an accident. Well, because you want to give that scar tissue time to heal the way that it's supposed to be naturally, depending on what the doctor, whatever, depending on what scar it is, right? Because you're gonna heal a tummy tuck scar differently than a boo-boo right here.
Right.
You know, so you want to give your body time to regenerate those cells and everything. Yeah. And then you want to see what color it heals. It heals. Yes, yes. So it's really intriguing. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Do you work with like keloid scars?
So, get me. I know I keep going back and forth. Before the end of the year, I'm gonna go back to San Diego and I'm gonna take an intensive. It's awesome there.
I know. I'll just say the hotel room.
I'm gonna be taking an intensive training on keloids and on burn victim scars. Yeah. Super, super
you know, the turnover on these people, the huge impact that you're having in their lives.
Yeah. And that's going to be more intensive, just because a little bit about it, with what we do now for the English, we're pretty much like, I don't want to say damaging. I think I want to look for another nicer word because people get scared. You're not damaging.
Disturbing.
For example, a stretch mark. The skin between that makes the appearance of the stretch mark is that. Yes, exactly. Is that. So
it's not regenerating.
Yeah, it's not regenerating. So what do I do with my technique? Is I bother it a little bit, so it kind of says, oh, okay.
So the blood starts circulating.
Yes. And then the melanin, melanin starts kicking in.
Acupuncture, in a way, in some sort
with the whole. I see what you're with the needles and stuff like that.
Recirculating in that area because of the puncturing.
You are right. But this one is more of a like beating you up a little bit,
triggering it.
Yeah. So hey, wake up. You know, and it does scab. Some people it seems like a little peeling. Some people it does scab. It really depends on the aftercare. It's huge.
So what led you into this?
I've been known with Jessica of many hats. I like to try new things. I like to be challenged. So I have a background in counseling psychology. I've been in the psychology field for over 20 years, and I was also a correction officer for 15 years.
Would you guess?
So while I was doing one thing, I was doing another. You know, I finished my master's. I was hearing your stories. I finished my master's. I went in for my bachelor's. And my master's. And then I went. You know what? There is one thing I wish that big schools would start doing now is shadowing before committing to a major.
Yes.
Because let me tell you, before I decided to get into psychology, I was like, I see, I want to be, a psychologist, and I want to do this, and I want to sit down, and I want to be, give advice and therapy and everything. And it's nothing like you sitting down with your friend and giving them advice. Totally different ballgame.
You can imagine it's super draining too.
So I
listening to everybody's problems. Oh Lord.
But I think the upside of that is the aftermath. When you do have a client that's very receptive to what you're suggesting or what kind of direction you're going with them, that's what then is like, oh, okay, this is what it is.
That's why I do
this
it.
Is good. Right? Yeah. So, but that being said, it burns you out. It burns you out, especially when you're dealing with little ones and teenagers and people from all types of backgrounds and all types of traumas and you name it. You really are like, wait, this is the world we live in, But I moved from the East Coast. I went to Colorado for a little bit, and then Colorado came here because my kids in the Air Force. And during all that turmoil and transition, when I got here, I'm like, what do I want to do? It's that time of like reinventing yourself. Like, wait a second, I don't want to get into this full force again because I know how much it affects me, and I've done it for so long. But I also want to do something that helps others. So throughout my corrections and psychology, I also dibbled and dabbled. I used to do eyebrows, and I did the eyelash, and I actually, along with my friend, we opened up a spa. But it was surgery. was more her dream.
You were just helping her.
You know, now she's super successful and awesome. And so then what I wanted to do was figure out something that intertwined both. How can I help? And how can I intertwine my psychology? And this is it. This is it. Why? Number of things. It helps build confidence, which is huge. It's so really needed now. And there's another thing that I wanted to discuss: self-harm scars. Self-harm scars are huge. Why? Because it's a stage in your life. It's a time in your life. Now, we all hope that we pass that and we move forward. And what happens? We have those scars to remind us continuously every day of that one time or that several times.
Of that
Stage
that
in
you
your life,
right?
right?
About,
Yeah.
so you can move on.
Yes. And
that's
there I
where
come.
you help.
That's where I come in. You know, and I think having that psychology background helps a lot, right?
It helps you understand
Oh.
where the patient's coming from.
Yes. It's not just something vanidoso.
Yeah.
Like we say, oh, I just want this, but I want, you know.
And at the same time, motivate the patient or motivate their client to get past that.
Exactly. So that's what I do.
That's beautiful.
And I also do, it's just so much. And I get so excited and I get to like, go in and then I'm like, you know, sometimes I need to learn how to like bring it down a notch. But it's so important.
It's good that you show how much passion you have for what you do, because that means that you love it, and that means that you're not working. You're just doing your passion and spreading that love that you feel for the compassion of the human being.
That's so huge nowadays, right? Because I feel like sometimes we get caught up in the whirlwind of that we have to work, right? We have to support our families, we have to do this, and then we become very unhappy because we have to.
Yeah. I got the bill, I got the car, I got the house, I gotta make it, I gotta do it, I gotta do it.
Unhappy.
Going, you can't stop.
Yeah.
And as soon as you pay them, you get them get
Yeah. So you know, I feel like I'm very fortunate and lucky to be able to have gone through different transitions where I'm now like, ooh, I like going into my suite, into my job. You know, I like getting the calls and asking questions. And you know, I've had clients where like, oh my gosh, aftercare is not for me. It's okay. Maybe it's not for you right now, but maybe in the winter.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I really want to get rid of this, or I want to work on that.
What do you want more?
What do you? You know, and try to talk to them and guide them through that process, and then they'll call me again and be like, all right, I'm ready because you made sense, or because I didn't think about it that way, or you know. So
talk them through it.
That background of psychology, I feel, is like it's all about right timing. Another thing we do at Jane Victoria.
Tell us, girl. Tell us.
Is the realism areolas. The realism areolas are for women that have been through the breast cancer journey, and then they're survivors where they remove the areola part, and then they just have the scars. There are many women that don't mind not having the areolas,
Right.
but sometimes the scars are higher up, where if they wear a t-shirt of some sort, they can still see, and then they're like, I don't want the areola, but you know, I want to work on this.
Yeah.
Right. But then you have, especially more so the population that I've talked to, the younger are like, hey, I want these back, you know? So they would come to me and we would do the areola. For the most part, I have to batch one.
Make sure they're even. Make sure they're
than the
matched.
other. But then I've also had, you know, older patients where they've gotten it done years ago. Where back then the nurses in the next room,
would do it. Yeah, they were the ones that did it. They were the ones that did it for me.
2 circles, one big circle, one little circle, one color you want. Boom, 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 boom. And now you're kind of like working on that. You know, so
that's like what they call it, the when you have to like fix it.
Yeah, like a reconstruction is more like surgical. I want to say, there is a word.
Yeah, like no tattooing, or you gotta.
No, it's like revising it, like or like, you know,
correction.
Just correct. Yeah, it's a correction. It's a correction where like with time, that area has gotten wider or it's gotten smaller. There's, with time you got weight loss. Yeah. And the color has changed, something. So I've run into that as well.
So tell us, like, what's pulled you through all of this? I'm sure there's been challenges. What's kept you going?
I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest challenges is not being from the area. Not have established friends. Not have...
Now you do.
Now I do. Now I do. 10,000 friends. Not having, like... So, like, back home, I lived in Connecticut for over 30 years, right? So it's like friends of friends, family, starting like from the like hustling, bustling, knocking on doors, and hey, my name is such and such. This is what I do. The old school way. Knocking on doors and just trying to make those connections with people is probably the most. I don't want to say it's most challenging, but getting that credibility,
right,
going,
reestablishing yourself.
Yeah, getting that credibility, like, oh, which, that type of deal. But I'm hoping that with my presence and with my knowledge that I am able to make people feel comfortable enough to come to jail for it and know about these services.
Where are you located?
I am located on 1604. I say SeaWorld, but I like SeaWorld because
so is it called Alamo Ranch area?
Yeah, the Alamo Ranch area.
1604 151.
No, it's actually Culebra.
Yeah.
Culebra. It is a Home Depot. There's like a new Burlington Home Factory. There's it's a new plaza. It's fairly new. So I'm located there, and like I said, if you guys have any questions, I'm pretty quick. Live with our phones. Right?
So what are your goals? Do you have any future goals? What else? Aside from getting into the additional class for the burning.
My ultimate goal is to teach it. That'll be my ultimate goal.
Duplicate.
Yes, but in the meantime, I just want to absorb as much information and treat as many people as I can. That's my ultimate goal. I have a lot of plans. I plan on doing like a big tour in Puerto Rico because these services, especially the areola one, I spoke to. I had a family member that went through the whole process, and I've spoken to the doctor, and she's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Really? Wow. So they have no idea what.
But it also depends like where you're from, right? If you're from a small town, and your doctor grew up there, lived there, and now is a doctor.
I can be your assistant in Puerto Rico. We can do a live I'll be the bag lady. Puerto Rico. See, girl, you even got travel buddies.
Listen, so I have big plans. And that tour that I'm going to do is going to be just strictly fundraising charity. I'm not going to be,
We can help.
Listen, I'm so excited, and I know it's going to happen, and I have to keep telling myself that continuously.
Just set your little goals, and you'll get there.
Yeah, that's all. And anybody that's opening up a business, and it's just pull the trigger. I say just pull the trigger. I have a lot of support. I have my mother-in-law, my partner, my family back at home. They're like, just push it through. It's okay.
Awesome.
My mom be like, did anybody come in today? I'm like, no, mom, but I got a call. That's still a win.
I love it.
We have to keep pushing through, especially with the business. But it's very challenging.
So tell us a little bit. I heard a little bird tell me you're having a show.
Oh, at the bridal show?
No, one of these hot
shows. Yes. Listen, I'm working on it. I really want to put out there what people want to hear. Because I'm like, I want to talk about this, but what if they don't want to hear what I want to talk about? So I'm trying to be very strategic about it. I want to do like polls and see what do people want to hear. Because I just don't want to.
Well, like I was thinking right now, and it's creative mind. Like 90210, they go and they show what they do.
Yeah, that's true.
Why not do something like that? I can be your assistant. I'm gonna help everybody. I don't know how or when, but we'll put it on the calendar.
Yeah, I'm just trying to brainstorm right now what I want the show to be, but that's a really good idea. I'll keep that in mind.
Because people, inquiring minds want to know, so they're going to tune in and see, okay, what's she doing? How's she doing that? You know, la comadre needs that. Let me tell her, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's amazing. You see, when you start people with more like-minded people,
I tune in.
You start having all these ideas, because there's one thing, having the idea of opening up a business, and then all the technicalities, and then you have all this other stuff that you have to work with too. I met Charlie, the consultant. Man, I was like, oh, I thought I had it down pat, but no, I don't. Thanks to him, he gave me a lot of really good ideas too. And just talking to everybody.
Charlie is the business advisor that WUSA has contracted to come out and advise our WUSA sisters that want to build their business further and need just an idea of, okay, how do I do the plan? Where do I go? Where do I start? So give Brenda a call. She'll sign you up.
Yeah, I mean, he was phenomenal.
That's great.
I went to elementary middle school.
Oh, that's true. You know him. You know him. Yeah.
Man, he
graduated a year behind me.
Oh,
We were in the band together.
no.
And so that Saturday, I mean, we just reminisced about
At the last event.
yeah, the last year was
Yeah.
He's awesome. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, you're right. You know, let me write this down. And it's important. It's important if you're thinking of starting a business to make those connections with others. You could be shy, you could be an introvert, but when it comes to your business being successful, you have to try your best. You have to try your best. Even like today, yesterday I had a tough day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do a podcast tomorrow. You have to like find that willpower to be like,
get it done.
Get it done.
Which brings me to my next question. I love this question. It was asked of me at another podcast that I was a guest at. And I love it because we want to know if a book was written on Charlie. If a book was written about you and you're the main character in the book, how would you describe your character in the book?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh man. How would I describe my character?
What do you want your legacy to be, right? Because that's what the book is going to leave, your legacy.
My legacy, I think part of my drive is being part of somebody's journey, positive journey.
Knowing that you impacted
knowing that I
others
can impact more than impact people in general, or even if they don't get services with me, but the words I say, like,
that
make an impact.
That they matter to them, right?
Because let me tell you, my friends are like, oh, I'm their go-to. Oh, como yo hago esto? How do I do this? How do I do that? Da, 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 da. And my boyfriend
You
like,
inspire them. You inspire them. That's why. Because they see a strong woman.
Right. Mm-hmm. But when you're hearing those things, you battle with yourself sometimes and say, am I really that good? Yes, no, yes. You know? And it's like, because you don't genuinely look for that. I genuinely feel what I feel and want to help the way that I want to help. I heard you earlier, without expecting something in return. And I think we need more of that. Because I think our biggest downfalls and our heartbreaks and our, whether it's family or it doesn't matter, is having those super high expectations that we have of ourselves and others. And that's not what's
and providing that support for that other someone else that's starting in your industry that possibly doesn't know half of what you know, and you can guide them, right? And it doesn't have to be like we mentioned before, a battle. Oh, you're going to take my customers if I, no, it doesn't have to be like
no
that.
competition, no competition.
There isn't, because there's enough for everyone, right? And I think you have the clients. Everybody has a specific client for them, right? So like right now, somebody else tomorrow can be like, hey, I'm doing the same thing as you are. What were your challenges? And if I'm able to help them so they don't go through the same thing, I'm gonna give it to them. I am, because that's in my DNA. That's in my.
And who knows, there may be somebody that's watching the show that does something out there, but is afraid
of
They don't
going
know.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just do it. Just do
Do
it.
it. Come to networking. Contact us. We're all here to support you. Again, WUSA is a platform that we want to see be the change for women entrepreneurs out there. Um, so just contact us. Be vocal. Leave the shyness, at home. Get out there and make a difference because you don't know who's watching. You don't know whose inspiration you could be. And with that being said, I know Brenda's going to start looking for folks for our committee, that have that drive because it's not for everybody. You have to have that drive that you want to support folks and not financially. I'm talking about like, share, follow, just the little things that make a huge difference.
It's so simple. Click.
Yeah.
It's so simple. When I get a like, or because this is the reality. This is the world we're living in. I mean, I'm really old school.
Yeah.
But I was raised in a home a certain type of way, and I'm really old school. This whole like and stuff like that, I was very in denial. Like, ay, que le guste, que no.
Right?
But the algorithm, media, social media, computers have overtaken us.
Exactly.
And we have to learn to adjust to the times. If we don't learn to adjust to the times, we're gonna have more challenges. And so those likes that we give each other, the algorithm, it helps us because it will show us up in different pages or in different,
And YouTube is great.
you know what? I haven't started a YouTube yet.
No, I haven't done YouTube, but if I want to learn something, I Google it and go.
Oh,
You can
Me
learn
too.
anything. You just need to want to. Or, sometimes you have to have the time too, right?
Yes.
To be able to do. But if you want to learn it, there's nothing
Stopping
you.
It's funny because just last night I had a picture that I was sending to somebody and they said, "Can you send it to me in a PDF?" And I was on my phone. I had it on the picture. I had it on my phone, and so I contacted my comadre, and she goes, "I don't know. I'm on my phone." So I hit YouTube, and I got it done. It was like, I figured it out. And it was a lot easier than I'm here, I'm thinking, oh my God, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. No, it was like 3 steps. And I thought, oh, I can do that. But, but you build that mental block. It's like,
Yeah, I think we are our own worst. We stop ourselves.
yes.
And I'm guilty of it. I think all of us are. I mean, to some degree or another.
Yes.
But,
It's like I said, when you got that little voice stopping you, you find a technique. Mine is a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back and forget about it, and change the channel.
Yeah.
Because it can keep you stuck for as long as you listen.
Yeah.
And you don't want to stay stuck. You want to move forward. So join WUSA. It's womenunlimited.com and join us and see yourself thrive.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're here for.
For sure.
Well, ladies, thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you for
us
having
today.
me. Thank you.
It was a pleasure, a joy, and an honor to share this hour with you all. So have a wonderful Friday, everyone. Tia Talks out.